In today's PalWorld guide, I'm going to talk about my top 8 PALs for the early stages of the game, and pretty much where you can get them and what they can do for you. These PALs aren't really in any particular order. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Kativa. Kativa is going to be the PAL that you find really early in the game and kind of is your jack of all trades. It can do handiwork, transporting, gathering, and mining all at level 1, which is really good for when you're first starting out with your initial base. This is going to be probably the first mining PAL that you can get in order to mine stone. And when I first set up my base, I had just a bunch of Kativas there, like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, whatever my base would allow. Just having Kativas kind of doing everything to help out until I could get other PALs. Next on the list is going to be Foxparks, and this is because this is going to be the first PAL and early PAL that you can get with kindling, and kindling is going to be important to go ahead and cook better food for your PALs to eat and survive, and then also it can help you smelt ore once you get to that stage of smelting things in the initial furnace. One last thing about Foxparks is that fire type PALs are kind of the best, quote unquote, in combat because of the way the types work. Fire kind of counters more types, so for an early game combatant, if you're really looking for something to help you beat stuff, you can use a Foxparks as your deployed PAL. Next up, this one's gonna be a pretty big one that I think is kind of crucial to the early game stages, and that is gonna be this deer, Ecathier deer. This guy is really good at lumbering. So once you get the wood, the automatic wood farm, you can put this guy here for lumbering. And what's really good about only having one skill is that this deer PAL will only focus on lumbering, and you'll get maximum efficiency of wood output because it won't get distracted doing other tasks. So this guy really good to catch early on, and then you can get lumbering. Later on, you can actually mount this as a early game mount as well. At level 12, you can get a saddle for it. But overall, just really good to have at least one of these at your base for the lumbering skill. Next is going to be Rushore. Right here, this is going to be a pretty good early game mining PAL because you have level 1 mining, and I know that the Kativa also has level 1 mining, but Kativa is going to be kind of distracted doing all the other tasks if they're available, whereas Rushore can be there to just focus purely on mining for maximum stone output. And also in the technology tabs, this is going to be the very first mount that you can get at level 6, which is pretty good. You can get this Rushore saddle, it's pretty cheap, and it'll help you kind of get around the map a lot faster. Next one is kind of a hidden gem that I didn't even know about until recently, and that is going to be Vixie. You can catch this PAL pretty early on, and it has level 1 gathering and level 1 farming. The gathering is kind of good if you're going to have your berry farm going, but the biggest thing that we like here is going to be the partner skill. Dig here sometimes digs up items from the ground when assigned to a ranch. So if you were to have a ranch like this right here and you assign a Vixie there, occasionally they're going to be digging up items such as arrows and PAL spheres, level 1 PAL spheres like just the basic ones, and gold completely for free. Like this chest, if you open it up, these PAL spheres, 79 of them is actually just from Vixies that we had slotted here. So it's super good for the early game to give you a bunch of spheres to use, and arrows, which is like the early game weapon ammo pretty much. And they can also help with your farms that you have at your camp. Next up is going to be Tombat. This is Tombat, super cool looking PAL in my opinion, and you can find Tombat at night, just so you know. All the other ones spawn during the day, this one spawns at night, and Tombat will also work during the night where other PALs would sleep. And this is going to be one of the early game PALs that has level 2 transporting, level 2 gathering, and level 2 mining. This kind of like level 2 setup is really hard to come by on the early game PALs, so I think this is a super good pick, and level 2 mining is actually enough for the PAL to mine ore and not just stone, so really good to pick up a Tombat early. Next up, we're going to talk about some farming PALs. So let's see, a good pick for farming PALs is a Tansy. So here we got Tansy. It's this monkey looking PAL, and they have a lot of different traits. They can do lumbering and transporting, but the biggest thing that we need is going to be the planting, gathering, and transporting. This right here covers 3 out of the 4 skills that you need for growing berries in the early game. So next up, you would just need a PAL that can do watering, and then you would be set. And for watering, I recommend doing the penguin looking PAL, Pinglet, this one right here, and that's because it also has transporting and handiwork, which is good. Pinglet is a really good crafter. I feel like Pinglet crafts really fast, even though it's only level 1 handiwork, compared to other level 1 handiwork crafters like the cat. But the main thing that you want is to have the watering and the cooling. So cooling, if you don't know, helps with the cooler. So once you get to technology level 13, you can get this cooler box and assign an ice pal to prevent food stored inside from spoiling. So what you want to do is have a cooler set up, put all your food in there that you are not currently using, and then have this penguin at your base, and it will constantly put ice into the cooler to kind of like keep the food from spoiling. And then you also got watering to water all of the berry plants, and then you can also help you craft, and it can also help you transport things. So Pinglet is a pretty good pick for the early game base. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this map in the description, and I'm gonna show you guys, this is like minor spoilers, so you guys can skip ahead if you want, because I'm gonna be showing some teleport points and spoiling the spawns for the PALs. If you'd rather just come across them naturally, that's cool too. So Kativa spawns in these areas right here that you can see highlighted on the map, all the way up here, down here. These pretty much in all of the starting areas. The most popular spawn is usually this one right here, Plateau of Beginnings, and you can find Kativa all over there. But you can go ahead and use this website for yourself to look at where it spawns if you're hunting for them. Then we have Fox Parks. Fox Parks also spawns at all the starting areas pretty much. So we have all these regions and all of these regions. Next we have Ekathir, the deer, pretty much. This one right here. This one also spawns in all of the starting regions. These are all going to be really accessible beginner PALs. So anywhere down here in this cove, the starting area, this side area, and this side area right here. Next is Rushore. Rushore, same thing, but the main difference is instead of starting in the really beginning grass area, you're gonna have to venture out into a little bit farther towards the Desolate Church and small settlement area for if you have this spawn, the Plateau of Beginnings, to find Rushore. For Vixie, you're only going to be able to find them on one central part of the map, which is right here by the Desolate Church section. So it's not going to be as accessible as all of the other ones, but if you have the Plateau of Beginning spawn, you can definitely walk through here, get to the Tower of Syndicate entrance, and then come across and find Vixies all over this area. Next up is going to be Tombat. Tombat only spawns at night, spawns in all of the beginning areas, and also extends all the way to Desolate Church and to the Twin Lights area, and just kind of like this entire region. But yeah, just keep in mind that it has to be nighttime. Your pals got to be sleeping in order for the dark type Pokemon to spawn, including Tombat. And second to last is going to be Tansy, also spawning in all of the starting areas. As you can see, this one for Tansy, you're going to have to venture out a little bit farther, kind of towards the Tower Syndicate entrance area, not just in the Plateau Beginning spawn, but you can still find them very early on. Last is going to be the Penguin PAL. This one spawns in all the starting areas as well, and you can also find a bunch of them in this area. I guess it's because it's before the frozen region of the map, but you can see right here in the beginning they're all over this coastline area, and they're also up here in this coastline, so you can find a lot of the penguins on the beaches and coastlines. And yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for this video, guys. If you have any other PALs that you think would be really good for the beginners or for the starting game, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below, or if you have any other feedback. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and until next time.